Just one day ago, England took another huge step toward football history. In a dramatic World Cup quarter-final, the Three Lions came from behind to defeat Norway 2-1 after extra time. Jude Bellingham delivered when his country needed him most, scoring twice to send England into the semi-finals and keeping the dream of a second World Cup alive. Now imagine this. What if this is only the beginning? What if, after nearly 60 years of waiting, England finally lifts the FIFA World Cup trophy once again in 2026? How would it change Harry Kane's legacy? What would it mean for Jude Bellingham, one of football's brightest stars? How would this victory reshape English football? And where would this team rank among the greatest national sides in history? The answers might be far bigger than most fans realize. In today's video, we'll explore exactly what could happen if England completes its incredible journey and becomes world champion once again. From legendary status to football history, we'll break down every possible impact based on facts, history, and the current tournament. Before we begin, if you love football documentaries, World Cup stories, and in-depth analysis, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next upload. Now, let's explore what England's biggest football triumph in generations could really mean. England's victory over Norway has brought the nation one step closer to a dream that has lasted for generations. But to truly understand why this World Cup means so much, we have to go back nearly 60 years. The last time England lifted the FIFA World Cup trophy was in 1966. Since then, millions of fans have grown up without ever seeing their national team become world champions. Every new tournament has started with hope, only for disappointment to follow. Some campaigns ended in painful penalty shootouts. Others ended with narrow defeats against the world's best teams. No matter how talented the squad looked, England always seemed to fall just short of making history. That long wait has made every World Cup feel bigger than the one before. It is no longer just about winning football matches. It is about ending decades of heartbreak and giving an entire country a moment it has been waiting for since 1966. Over the years, England has produced some incredible players. From David Beckham and Steven Gerrard to Frank Lampard and Wayne Rooney, many legendary names wore the famous white shirt. More recently, stars like Harry Kane, Jude Bellingham, Bukayo Saka, and Declan Rice have carried the hopes of millions once again. Despite all that talent, the biggest prize has remained just out of reach. That is why this tournament feels different. This squad is not only filled with world-class players, but it has also shown resilience under pressure. The dramatic win over Norway proved that this team can keep fighting even when the match becomes difficult. Moments like these often define champions, and they give supporters even more reason to believe that something special could happen. If England were to lift the World Cup in 2026, it would be far more than another trophy in the cabinet. It would finally close one of the longest chapters of waiting in international football. A victory would unite generations of supporters, reward decades of belief, and create memories that families would talk about for years to come. And if that happened, this group of players would no longer be remembered simply as a talented team. They would become the generation that finally brought football's greatest prize back to England after almost 6 decades. If England finally lifts the World Cup in 2026, it would do much more than add another trophy to the country's history. It would completely transform the legacy of this generation. For years, these players have been considered one of England's most talented squads. They have reached major tournaments, faced the world's best teams, and carried the hopes of millions. But football history usually asks one simple question: did you win the World Cup? If the answer becomes yes, this team would be remembered forever. Harry Kane would not only be known as one of England's greatest goal scorers, but also as the captain who ended nearly 60 years of waiting. Jude Bellingham could become the symbol of a new era, while Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden, Declan Rice, and their teammates would earn a place among England's football legends. Perhaps the biggest impact would be on the next generation. Young boys and girls across the country would dream of following in their footsteps. That is the true power of winning a World Cup. It doesn't just create champions. It creates a legacy that inspires a nation for years to come. Success at the highest level has a way of inspiring an entire generation. Across the country, thousands of children would dream of following in the footsteps of their heroes. Local football pitches, school teams, and youth academies could see more young players taking up the sport, hoping that one day they might wear the England shirt themselves. A World Cup triumph could also encourage even greater investment in player development. England already has some of the best football academies in the world, but becoming world champions would strengthen the belief that developing young talent is the right path. Clubs and coaches would continue focusing on producing technically gifted, confident, and intelligent players who are ready to compete at the highest level. The success would also enhance England's reputation around the world. The Premier League is already one of the most watched football competitions on the planet, but a World Cup victory would bring even more attention to English football. Young talents from different countries could see England as an even more attractive place to grow, while the national team's achievements would earn greater respect on the international stage. There would also be a positive impact away from the pitch. Major victories often bring people together. Supporters from different cities and backgrounds would celebrate the same achievement, creating memories that families and communities would remember for generations. Moments like these remind everyone why football is often called the world's game. Perhaps the biggest change would be in the mindset of future England teams. For decades, many players have carried the pressure of trying to end the country's long wait for another World Cup. If this squad finally achieved that goal, the next generation would step onto the field knowing that England can win football's biggest prize in the modern era. That confidence could become one of the team's greatest strengths in future tournaments. Of course, winning one World Cup would not guarantee success forever. Every tournament brings new challenges, stronger opponents, and different circumstances. But lifting the trophy in 2026 could mark the beginning of a new chapter. One where England is no longer chasing history, but building on it. And that raises one final question. Every generation produces outstanding players, yet only a few teams are remembered forever. Winning the World Cup changes the way history looks at a squad. It is the achievement that separates great teams from legendary ones. For almost 60 years, England's 1966 team has stood alone. Led by Bobby Moore, with stars like Geoff Hurst and Gordon Banks, they became the only England side to win the FIFA World Cup. Every talented England generation since then has been compared to that historic team, but none have managed to repeat their success. Now imagine if this generation finally changed that. Harry Kane would be remembered not only as England's all-time leading goal scorer, but also as the captain who brought the World Cup home after nearly 6 decades. Jude Bellingham could become one of the defining players of his generation, while Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden, Declan Rice, and the rest of the squad would forever be remembered as the players who made history together. The comparisons would not stop with England's 1966 champions. Football fans around the world would begin discussing where this team belongs alongside Spain's 2010 World Cup winners, Germany's 2014 champions, France's 2018 squad, and Argentina's unforgettable 2022 team. Every champion has its own story, so choosing the greatest is never easy. But one thing would be impossible to deny. This England team would become the generation that finally achieved what so many outstanding players before them could not. They would end one of the longest waits in international football and give millions of supporters a moment they had dreamed about for decades. And perhaps that is the true meaning of football history. It is not only about lifting trophies. It is about creating moments that inspire future generations and become part of a nation's identity. And their names would be remembered for generations to come. As we come to the end of this journey, let's return to the question we asked at the very beginning. What happens if England lifts the FIFA World Cup in 2026? After everything we've explored, the answer is clear. It would be much more than winning a football tournament. It would end nearly 60 years of waiting, create a new generation of national heroes, and give millions of England fans a moment they would never forget. From the dramatic victory over Norway to the dream of lifting football's biggest trophy, this team has already shown the determination and belief needed to compete at the highest level. Of course, the job is not finished yet. England still has important matches ahead, and football has taught us that nothing is guaranteed until the final whistle. But if this squad completes its mission, it will forever be remembered as the team that brought the World Cup back to England after generations of hope. Now, we want to hear from you. Do you believe England has what it takes to become World Cup champions in 2026? Or do you think another nation will lift the trophy instead? Share your prediction in the comments below. We'd love to read your thoughts. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next football story. And if you know someone who loves football as much as you do, share this video with your friends and keep the conversation going. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.